Hello, everyone. My name is David Bordewijk. I'm the Executive Director of South Dakota News Watch. And with me today is Bart Pfankuch, who is the Content Director and Editor for News Watch. We're here to talk a few minutes about News Watch's recent reporting and coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic, plus a little bit about what's ahead. Hi, Bart. Good to see you.
Hi, Dave. Welcome.
Bart, the pandemic has dominated the news the past 6 months, both globally and locally. It's probably one of the biggest stories of our time. South Dakota News Watch has certainly been covering the story extensively as well. Talk a little bit about our coverage of the pandemic and what you and reporter Nick Lowry look for in deciding how to cover this story.
Sure, Dave. Thanks for asking. Since its launch in February 2018, Newswatch has sought to uphold its vow to use our reporting to inform, enlighten, and illuminate, which is our motto. We seek to inform people about important ongoing topics and issues, enlighten the public and policymakers about problems and solutions that may lie ahead, and illuminate South Dakotans by shining a light on critical issues that may be complex, complicated, or hidden from view. That philosophy has carried over into our coverage of the pandemic, which began in early March. Since COVID-19 hit, we've looked to focus on problems and also suggest solutions to issues or problems facing South Dakota individuals, industries, and institutions. We try to get ahead of issues by reporting what has happened so far, what's happening now, and what the future might look like or what it could look like. We try to cover issues that aren't being explored by the traditional media, such as newspapers, TV, and radio stations, or report on those topics in new ways. We work to examine issues from a truly statewide perspective, looking at what's happening in both big cities and small towns, in populated regions and those that are remote. And we've looked at how an issue affects children, youths, adults, and the elderly. Above all else, we have striven to cover topics that are of critical importance to the health, safety, and welfare of all South Dakotans. Those principles have guided our story choice through our history and will continue to do so moving forward. That approach has led to publication of 36 in-depth articles since we shifted our coverage to the pandemic on March 12th. We've had articles about safety concerns in returning to public schools and colleges, a look at how the pandemic has affected agriculture, from ethanol to beef production, to worker safety, to supply chain issues. We've looked at healthcare topics, including challenges for rural health providers, flaws in COVID testing and contact tracing, how smoking and vaping can make COVID worse, and how a Native American tribe is protecting its people. We've also focused on finance and pocketbook issues, including access to daycare amid the pandemic, how bankruptcies and evictions are more likely now, how some unemployed people are falling through the cracks, how the loss of summer festivals is hurting our small towns, and how the tourism industry is adapting to a loss of revenue. And those are just a few examples.
And Bart, all those stories are still available on our news website as well, correct?
That's right, sdnewswatch.org.
Thank you. So, Bart, could you share a few examples of stories that have really resonated or produced quite a bit of feedback and response from readers?
You bet, Dave. Since mid-March, we've had nearly 75,000 views of our articles on our website, sdnewswatch.org, by about 60,000 unique visitors. Our reach on social media has been even more extensive. On Facebook, our COVID-19 articles combined have attracted more than 600,000 views. And beyond that, South Dakota daily and weekly newspapers continue to make strong use of our articles, which routinely appear on the front pages of papers across the state, on the radio airwaves, and on the websites of TV stations like Kello and others. A few articles have drawn intense reader attention and reaction. In April, Newswatch was the first in the state and region to report on how supply chain backups at meat processing plants was likely to, and indeed did, lead to the euthanization of tens of thousands of hogs, an article that reached 32,000 people on Facebook. Our investigation into how regulatory gaps and industry failures put meatpacking plant workers at risk reached about 25,000 people on Facebook alone. And our examination of headwinds within the tourism industry was also a reader favorite. With many of our stories, Dave, we hear from readers who appreciate the topics we cover and that we do so in a fair, accurate, and complete way. Personally, a few COVID articles have stood out to me. Our multi-part series on the challenges and opportunities facing South Dakota's small towns created a blueprint for economic and community success moving forward and spurred Newswatch to host a virtual town hall that was viewed by thousands. Our examination of safety measures implemented by the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe shared an untold story of how officials are keeping COVID case counts down among their people. And our back to school and college reporting shared in a heartfelt way the real true anxieties being felt by teachers, professors, students, and administrators who are heading back to the classroom in August or September.
Thanks, Bart. Certainly a broad array of topics and stories covered there this past summer and spring. What's ahead? Talk a little bit about what you and Nick are working on for stories to come.
Oh, you bet. We've got, I think, some pretty big things planned for the coming months. Immediately next up, you'll read stories about how the restaurant industry and the state's sheep producers are facing uncertain times amid the pandemic. We'll publish a package of stories about the logistics and security of the upcoming election process that will feature record levels of absentee voting. And we'll host another virtual town hall on September 16th on that topic. We've launched a partnership with South Dakota Public Broadcasting that will examine policing and law enforcement practices across South Dakota in a series of articles and radio and TV broadcasts. And I'm really happy about this. We've arranged with university journalism students across the state to provide us with frontline reporting on the return to college in the fall, a project that will provide strong, unique reporting to readers and the opportunity for real-world experience and training for student journalists. So that's a great opportunity for them and for us. And really, there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure a lot of our subscribers and readers will certainly look forward to it. Finally, as any good journalist would conclude an interview, is there anything else you'd like to add?
You know, I just want to say how invigorating it is to work for an organization that has what I believe are the highest ethics and commitment to fairness and accuracy. And it's just been a pleasure to do what I love to do as a journalist and to really, truly serve the people of South Dakota along the way.
Well, thanks, Bart, and thanks to you and Nick for the great reporting and journalism that you're doing. Greatly appreciated. That concludes the interview, and thanks, everyone, and keep watching and reading South Dakota News Watch. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.